Hi, and welcome to the very first lecture in History of Product Design. You guys are all product design majors, and you're all people who use products. So I'm sure that everyone in the class has a pretty good idea of what a product is. But you might not be as sure what a history of product design covers. So let's get started with the basics. First of all, people have been making products forever. You're looking at some very, very old Native American arrowheads that are made from flint and wood, and they're lashed together. These were really useful products. But we don't know who the exact makers were. We don't know their individual names. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes we know who the maker was and the buyer too, like this custom-made suit of armor that King Gustav I of Sweden commissioned from Kunz Lochner. Lochner was a very well-known armor maker, and he was so good at his job that his armor carries his own personal hallmark. Two things I want you to keep in mind that are absolutely key to any kind of product design. One, products are intentionally designed. And two, products are useful, regardless of what they look like. They were intended to be useful. You live in a world that is entirely designed. It's just crammed full of objects and systems that we all rely on to help us navigate life, from brushing our teeth. Look at all these toothbrushes. Walk through a toothbrush aisle someday in a drugstore. All different colors and sizes and shapes and add-ons. Some of these toothbrushes even play music. Product design follows us everywhere. You get in a car to drive to school or go anywhere, and you are immediately surrounded by signage and signals, stripes on the street. And don't forget GPS and Waze. Every app, every overpass, every car, every bus, every bicycle, everything has been designed. Now, take a deep breath. Does this mean you have to study everything? No. Thank goodness. Along the way, people have organized and categorized products and design into different fields and different disciplines. So, at Otis, departments specialize in certain kinds of products. Fine art makes products, toys makes products, so does fashion, architecture, digital media, communication arts. Each of these fields has its own history. Now, sometimes those histories are going to overlap or intersect, and it's going to end up being very important to what you are learning in this class. We're going to be focusing on modern product design because that parallels what you're learning in your studio classes and what you will be expected to bring to your professional practice. So to start, we have to agree on some basic vocabulary. So let's start with design. That word generally means the idea for a completed object, like the sketches that you're looking at. So today, most design starts out as a sketch or a model or a set of instructions that leads to a process that leads to a finished product. Good design always includes research, experimentation, materials, and often different processes. So designs can result in mass-produced works or small handmade limited quantities. Sometimes a design results in a single object. Design always represents an interaction of ideas and materials. Collaboration is key to most design now because designers often work on teams with other people who have different expertise. While a design can represent a single designer's flair or aesthetic, it does not have to. It is important to remember that design, especially design in any modern society, is always tied to manufacturing and profits. Today, design is often influenced by consumer needs, by economic competition, but also by social concerns like poverty or sustainability. Then there's that word modern. You should remember from last year that modern has a particular context, a particular set of associations. Modern began in the mid-19th century. It's associated with changes such as capitalism, the Industrial Revolution, urban development, mass production, and scientific advancement. It's a very Western concept, which is why there was such support for individuality, for progress, and optimism. It's important to remember that in modern capitalistic societies, design was always related to manufacturing and profits. So if you need a little refresher on what it means to be modern or how you become modern, click on this link and you'll get some additional information. Then there's that word history. What exactly should a history or a story of modern product design cover? What kinds of issues or ideas should be considered? Early design histories focused on individual designers and their work. They often focused on changes in style and aesthetics, materials and processes. Those changes in design and products were attributed to individual choices, but that ended up not being very convincing when trying to explain how new groups of goods began appearing on the market. So more current design historians now use a social history methodology, which means that we emphasize the context in which product design happens. Context means we're going to be investigating the economic, the political, the cultural systems, the technology and the resources available or envisioned, the way that consumers value, use, or prioritize products, and the kinds of concerns and consequences that accompany products that people need or want. We're also going to look at the effects of not enough products or too many products. Context also includes infrastructure, and that means the fundamental facilities and systems that a country or area needs to function. So infrastructure usually includes roads and bridges and waterways, power sources like electrical grids, water supplies, transportation, and communication systems. Context and infrastructure are often closely related, and they dramatically influenced product design, industrialization, manufacturing, and consumption practices from the 18th century on. Now, while many infrastructure factors remain the same, we always need roads and power grids, water systems and sewage controls. Needs change in response to new demands or shortages or social concerns. So this infographic, What Makes a Smart City Smarter, shows some new answers to ongoing problems like transportation and power, but it also addresses new factors like sustainability and outsourcing. As future designers and present-day students, these issues are going to be important to you, since they're going to factor into any work you undertake, even homework, even studio homework. The most successful designers not only manage concepts, materials, and processes, They know the backstory of what has or has not preceded their product, what the needs are, what the consequences can be, and sometimes consequences have negative aspects. That sounds like history to me. Tony Fry, who is the director of the Eco Design Foundation in Sydney, Australia, puts it this way. He tells designers that we need to remind ourselves that the future is never empty, never a blank space to be filled with the output of human activity. It is already colonized with what the past and the present have sent to it. Okay, guys, welcome to History of Product Design.